The scream came first. "Look out!" Amara's head snapped up from the thin cardboard she used as a bed under the Oshodi Bridge. A heavily pregnant woman in a shining gold gown was already halfway across the busy road. A bikeman shot out from between two buses, the rider leaning hard, brake screech lost under Lagos horns. In one heartbeat, Amara saw it all. The speed, the danger, the belly that held a life. She ran. Bare feet slapped hot concrete. Her tattered gown flew behind her like a torn flag. She threw her arms around the pregnant woman, turned her own body into a shield, and wrapped tight. The bike smashed into Amara's legs with a sound like wood breaking. Pain exploded white and hot. The world flipped. Amara hit the walkway and slid, still holding the woman, refusing to let go. When the noise settled, Amara was sitting on the ground, gasping, arms locked around the lady in gold. Her legs were twisted backward in a way legs should never be. People froze. Hands flew to heads. Someone cried, "God!" The bikeman's front was crumpled. The rider stared, dropped the bike, and ran. The woman in gold trembled in Amara's arms. Her voice was soft and shocked. You saved me." Amara's breath came in shaky bites. "You're safe. The baby is safe." She held tighter. The woman's hand shook as she reached for her phone. "Bring the convoy to Oshodi Underbridge. Now." Her words were calm, but her eyes were wide. The air changed. Two black Bentleys and a Rolls-Royce slid in like shadows with sirens low and steady. Doors opened. Men in clean black suits rushed out and then stopped. Their boss, the woman in gold, was on the ground, guarded by a broken girl. "Madam Sandra," one guard shouted, shock in his voice. "Please, let us lift you." "No," she said quickly, pointing at Amara. "Her first. Be gentle." They moved as told. They removed the motorcycle from her legs, careful hands sliding a small stretcher under Amara. She bit her lip so hard she tasted blood, but she didn't scream. As they lifted, Sandra, now standing with help, leaned close and whispered, "Hold on, I've got you." They put Amara and Sandra in the same back seat of the Bentley. Sandra gripped Amara's hand. Amara squeezed back. "It'll be okay," Sandra said. "My name is Sandra." "What's yours?" "Amara," she breathed. Sirens rose. Lagos blurred. The car flew toward Lagos Federal Medical Center. Hours earlier, the sun had painted the underbridge gold, and Lagos had woken up loud. Amara had woken with it. She did not have parents to call her name. She did not have a home to smell like soap. She had a piece of cardboard, a nylon bag with one spare dress, and a habit of helping strangers for no reason except that it felt right. 2 years ago, a plane crash took her mother and father. Amara was only 17 then. Wicked uncles said her father owed them money. They took the house, the car, and left Amara with nothing but her name. She learned to do day labor at sites, carrying sand pans for a few money and a plate of rice, then sleeping under the bridge where the concrete hummed all night. That morning, she had shared her last sachet of water with a little boy who coughed. She had given her only bread to a grandma who looked faint. "Kindness is a seed," her mother used to say. "Even when you cannot see the soil, plant it. God knows where to make it grow." Amara kept planting. Across the city, another woman was also making a choice. Sandra, billionaire CEO of Santec, was heavily pregnant. Doctors had told her to walk a little each day. She had guards and drivers, but today she wanted quiet. No convoy. She told her head of security, "I'm only going to the market. I'll be fine." She wore a long golden gown that flowed like sunlight and hid the heaviness of late pregnancy. Her plan was simple: walk, breathe, buy fruit, and return home. Fate did not follow that plan. Back in the Bentley, Amara stared at her hands, at the cuts and dust. Pain pulsed from her legs like beating drums. Sandra kept talking, her voice a soft rope pulling Amara through the storm. "You were brave," Sandra said. "You didn't even think of yourself." Amara blinked through tears. "I saw your belly. I just moved." The car screamed into the hospital bay. Nurses rushed out with a stretcher. For a moment, Amara felt herself float as her body left the leather seat. Bright lights, fast feet, voices. 2 patients. Trauma to both lower limbs, severe deformity pulse present. Pregnant woman term stage monitor vitals. They rolled Amara down a corridor that smelled like bleach and fear. A doctor with kind eyes bent over her. "I'm Dr. Kemi. I know it hurts. We'll give you something now." The medicine slid in like a warm blanket. The white-hot pain cooled to deep thunder. In another room, Sandra gasped and pressed her back with her hand. "It's nothing," she told a nurse. "Just a little ache." She looked toward the swinging doors where they had taken Amara. "Please, save her legs." "We will try everything," the nurse said. "But we have to also take care of you and the baby." Minutes stretched long. Amara's stretcher stopped under big lights. A tall man in a green cap leaned in. "Chief Medical Director, Dr. Hassan. X-ray now. Call orthopedics." Films cropped up like shadows of bone. The doctor's mouth tightened. He stepped away to speak in low tones. Sandra kept her eyes on the monitor. The nurse smiled. "Baby's heartbeat is strong. Good boy," Sandra whispered, rubbing her stomach with shaky fingers. "Stay with me." A door opened. Dr. Hassan stepped into Sandra's small exam room. "Madam Sandra," he said gently, recognizing her at once. "I want to be very honest. The young lady's injuries are severe. Both legs have multiple fractures. There is damage to veins and nerves. If we don't act fast, infection and more damage may force us to amputate." Sandra's heart fell. "No," she said, voice breaking. "Please, do everything, spare nothing. Save her legs." "We will try," Dr. Hassan said. "We'll need vascular repair and external fixation now. It will take hours. There are risks. Whatever you need, you have it," Sandra said. "Just save her." He nodded. "Sign here." Sandra signed. Her hand shook. She looked toward the door to Amara's theater. A sharp, deep pain ripped through Sandra's back and lower belly. She gasped, doubled over, and then the warm rush came. "My water," she cried. "My water just broke." "Delivery room, now," a midwife called. "She's in labor." They wheeled Sandra one way and Amara the other. 2 doors. 2 teams. 2 lives in motion. Time inside the operating room moved like thick syrup. Amara floated between sleep and the sound of metal and voices. "Clamp. Pulse check. Vein graft ready. Hold. Steady. Pressure good." In the delivery room, Sandra gripped the side rails as contractions rolled like waves. A midwife wiped her forehead. "Breathe. You can do this." Sandra's eyes stung with tears of pain and fear. "Don't let her be alone," she whispered between breaths. "Please. Someone, tell her she is not alone." "We've placed a nurse by her side," the midwife said, "and your husband has been called." In the hallway, a security officer in a black suit paced and prayed in whispers. He had never seen his boss like this. He had never seen a girl like that either, so brave and so broken. He texted his boss's husband again. Across the sky, a jet cut its path toward Lagos. Under the bright theater lights, Amara dreamed she was a little girl again. Her mother was singing in a kitchen that smelled like stew. "Kindness is a seed," the song went. "Plant it, plant it, plant it." The song faded. The voices grew. Vascular flow restored on the right. Left is still weak. We need the second graft now. Prepare external fixator. Dr. Hassan glanced at the clock. "We're fighting, Amara," he murmured. "Stay with us." In the delivery room, another clock ticked. Sandra pushed, breath ragged. "I can't," she cried. "Yes, you can," the midwife said. "One more. For the baby." For the girl. Sandra closed her eyes and saw Amara's face, dusty, brave, smiling through pain. She pushed with everything she had. A thin, sharp cry cut the air. "Baby boy," the midwife said, joy breaking through the room. "Strong lungs." Sandra sobbed and laughed at the same time. "Thank you," she whispered. They laid the warm, wriggling baby on her chest. She kissed his forehead. "Williams," she said softly. "Your name is Williams." The door swung open. A tall man in a white agbada and a red cap stood frozen, his eyes wide with fear and relief. Chief Obinna. He crossed the room in 3 strides, bent low, and kissed Sandra's damp hair. "I came as fast as I could." She tilted her head toward the other corridor. "Her," Obinna nodded. "I heard. I'm going to find the doctor. He stepped into the hall just as Dr. Hassan walked out of theater, mask pulled down, his eyes serious. Obina's voice was steady but tight. "Doctor, tell me." Dr. Hassan took a breath. The surgery was long. He looked between the husband in white and the door where the girl slept under lights. "We are trying to save both legs, but the damage to her nerves is severe. She may not walk, and even if she can, one day, it will take a miracle." There was a long silence. Inside recovery, Amara's fingers twitched. Her eyes fluttered. In another ward, a baby cried again, strong and bright, like a promise. Obina straightened. "We will be here for her," he said, "no matter what." Dr. Hassan nodded, but his eyes flicked back toward the monitors, where a line suddenly trembled. An alarm chirped. A nurse rushed past them into the theater. "Doctor, look at her left leg readings." Dr. Hassan turned, face tightening, and pushed through the doors again. The hallway lights hummed. 2 rooms, 2 futures. One girl hanging between darkness and dawn. The hospital hallway was alive, with echoes clattering wheels, murmuring nurses, the steady hum of machines that guarded the fragile line between life and death. Sandra lay back on her bed in the maternity ward, baby Williams breathing softly on her chest. She smiled through her exhaustion, but her thoughts weren't on herself or her newborn. They were on Amara. The girl's face, dusty and bruised, replayed in her mind. That selfless smile. Those eyes that carried both pain and peace. Sandra whispered to her baby, "She saved you, my son. She saved us both." Tears pricked her eyes. "We owe her everything." Meanwhile, in the operating theater, Dr. Hassan and his team worked tirelessly. Amara's legs were pinned in place, rods holding bone where flesh had given way. Veins were stitched, nerves examined under bright light. At one point, the monitors screamed, her blood pressure plummeted. Her pulse was faint. "Hold her steady," Hassan barked. "We're not losing this girl." "Clamp. Now." Minutes stretched like hours. Sweat dripped down the doctor's temple as he guided his team. When at last the beeping steadied and the monitors calmed, the room let out a collective sigh. Hassan's voice dropped low. "We've saved her legs, but they may never be the same, like I said earlier. God, give this child a chance." By dawn the next day, Amara was wheeled into recovery, her legs wrapped in heavy bandages. Machines clicked softly beside her. She stirred, eyelids fluttering, and the first words out of her cracked lips were not about herself, but about Sandra. "Is the baby safe?" A nurse bent close, surprised by the question. "Yes, child. A healthy boy. The mother too. Rest now." A weak smile broke across Amara's face. She whispered, "Good," before sleep claimed her again. Sandra could not rest. Even after delivering her child, she begged the nurses to take her to Amara. Against medical advice, she forced herself out of bed, leaning on Obina's arm, her gown dragging along the tiled floor. Together, they stepped into Amara's ward. There she was, the girl with nothing, lying in a hospital bed with everything broken except her spirit. Sandra gasped softly. Amara's smile lit up at once. "Madam," she whispered, "your pregnancy, where is it?" Sandra's breath caught. Even in her pain, even with legs wrapped like stone, Amara still cared enough to notice. "I delivered," Sandra said, voice trembling. "I gave birth to a baby boy. He's safe because of you." Amara closed her eyes, whispering as if to her late mother. "Kindness pays. It always pays." Sandra sank into the chair beside her bed, holding her hand tight. "Tell me, Amara, who are you? What happened to your family?" And so, Amara spoke. Her voice was quiet, but each word painted a story of heartbreak. She told them of the plane crash that had taken her parents, of uncles who robbed her of her home and left her on the street. She spoke of nights under the bridge, of days spent carrying cement pans, of hunger that gnawed her belly until kindness, giving water, sharing bread, was all she had left to hold on to. Obina clenched his fists. His chest rose and fell heavily as he listened. Sandra wept silently, tears rolling down her cheeks. "And that morning," Amara finished softly, "I just saw you there, madam. I didn't think. I only knew you carried life inside you. So I ran. If I had to lose mine for you to live, then that is fine." The silence that followed was heavy. Sandra bowed her head into Amara's hand, whispering through sobs, "You will never be alone again." Obina's voice was deep, steady, a promise. "From this day, you are our daughter. Whatever it takes, your life will change." Amara blinked in surprise, her lips curved into the smallest smile. "My mother used to say the same thing. That kindness will always find its way home." The moment was tender, but it did not last. The door creaked open, and Dr. Hassan stepped in, his face grave. Sandra straightened at once, her heart thudding. Obina moved closer, shielding Amara instinctively. Dr. Hassan cleared his throat. The surgery saved her life. But the truth is, this Amara may never walk again. The nerves, the damage is deep. If she's lucky, she may regain some use with years of therapy. If not, his voice trailed off. Amara turned her face toward the window, blinking against the sting in her eyes. She would not cry. She refused. "It's okay, doctor," she said softly. "At least the baby is alive. That's enough for me." Sandra gripped her hand tighter, shaking her head violently. "No, it is not enough. You gave up everything for me. I will not let this be the end of your story." But Dr. Hassan's warning hung in the room like smoke. She may never walk again. Sandra and Obina exchanged a glance, heavy with determination and fear. Neither of them noticed the shadow standing just outside the doorway, the biker who had caused it all, lurking in silence, watching. His face was pale, his eyes wild. And as he slipped away into the crowd of Lagos, no one knew he carried a secret that could shatter everything. The sun rose over Lagos with its usual noise, horns blaring, traders shouting, buses screeching. But inside Lagos Federal Medical Center, time felt slower, heavier. Amara sat propped on her hospital bed, bandages swallowing her legs, machines ticking beside her, like steady drums. Every movement hurt. Every breath reminded her of the price she had paid. Yet, whenever a nurse or cleaner passed her bed, she forced a smile. Sandra visited every morning, baby Williams in her arms, Obina always close behind. The sight of the billionaire couple sitting beside a homeless orphan sent whispers through the hospital halls. Doctors and patients alike stared in disbelief. One morning, as Sandra placed Williams gently in Amara's arms, the baby gurgled and grabbed at her hospital gown. Amara laughed, the sound thin but full of life. "See him," she whispered. "He likes me." Sandra's eyes softened. "He loves you, Amara. He knows you saved him." But even as they shared that moment, Dr. Hassan's words replayed in Sandra's mind. She may never walk again. Behind closed doors, Obina was restless. He paced their private suite, his white agbada swaying with each step. "Sandra," he said firmly, "I've called specialists. If there is a way to heal this girl, we will find it. Abroad, in Europe, America, wherever." Sandra touched his arm. "Obina, I want her healed too. But even if she never walks again, she is ours now. We owe her that much." Obina exhaled slowly. He was a man used to solving problems with money and power. But Amara's broken legs felt like a battle his wealth could not win. Still, he vowed silently, "I will not fail her." Amara's quiet strength impressed the hospital staff. Nurses noticed how she never complained about the pain, how she asked about other patients more than herself. But her nights were different. Alone in the dark, she sometimes pressed her face into the pillow to muffle the sound of her sobs. She wasn't afraid of dying anymore. What terrified her was a future chained to a wheelchair. One night, she whispered to herself, "Mama said kindness pays, but why does it hurt so much?" She didn't know Sandra had been standing at the doorway, watching. The woman walked in, sat by her side, and stroked her hair like a mother would. "You are not alone, Amara," Sandra murmured. "Cry if you must. But never believe this is the end of your story." For the first time in years, Amara allowed herself to cry in someone's arms. But far away, in a dim room behind Oshodi Market, the reckless biker nursed his bruises. His name was Namdi. His bike lay destroyed, his pockets empty. His conscience was heavy. He replayed the accident in his mind, Amara's body crashing against his machine, her legs twisting like rope. Fear had driven him to run, but shame kept him awake. Worse still, he wasn't just a reckless rider. Namdi carried a secret, one that tied him to Amara's stolen past. He muttered to himself, "If I go back, they'll kill me. But if I don't..." His voice trailed off as he poured cheap gin into a cracked cup. The truth was clawing its way out, and soon it would collide with Amara's fragile new world. A week later, Sandra was discharged. With her baby in her arms, she left the hospital in a convoy of black SUVs. But not before she whispered to Amara, "You'll come home soon, my daughter. Be ready." The words, "my daughter," replayed in Amara's heart. She had lost parents, lost family. But now, was Sandra really offering her a home? Obina visited that evening, carrying a small book. "For you," he said, setting it beside her. It was a journal, bound in soft leather. "Write your thoughts, dreams, fears, whatever you want. One day, when you are healed, you will look back and see how far you've come." Amara traced the cover with trembling fingers. "No one has ever given me something this beautiful." Obina's deep voice was firm. "Get used to it. You deserve far more than this." But the night before her discharge, Amara overheard something chilling. Two janitors whispered near her ward, unaware she was awake. They said the biker ran because he knew the girl. Knew her? How? One guard said he once worked with her uncles, the same wicked men that stole her house. Word is, they planned everything. That bike wasn't just reckless. It was sent. Amara's eyes widened in the darkness, her chest tightened. Could it be true? That her uncles had not only stolen her home, but also tried to erase her completely? Her mind swirled. If it was true, then she hadn't just been unlucky. She had been targeted. She clutched the journal Obina had given her, her heart racing. For the first time since the accident, fear of death wasn't what scared her. It was fear of betrayal. By morning, the convoy arrived to take her to Sandra's mansion. Nurses wheeled her carefully into the back of the Bentley. Amara's heart pounded as she looked out of the tinted windows, the city she had begged in now blurring past. But just as they reached the gates of the mansion, Amara whispered to herself, "If my uncles truly sent that biker, then they won't stop. They'll come again." And at that very moment, in the shadows of Oshodi, Namdi tightened his fists. He had decided. He would come forward, no matter the cost. The only question was, would he reach Sandra's mansion in time, or would the truth destroy Amara before she could even begin her new life? The gates of Sandra and Obina's mansion swung open, tall and proud like the doors of another world. Amara sat in the back of the Bentley, her hands gripping the leather seat. She had never seen such wealth so close. The sprawling gardens, the fountains that glittered like diamonds in the sun, the marble steps leading to a palace-like home. When the guards wheeled her inside, her eyes darted from the golden chandeliers to the wide staircase that curled like a ribbon, to the walls lined with paintings worth more than she could ever imagine. Yet, instead of feeling joy, her heart was heavy. Every sound of her wheelchair against the marble echoed her new reality. Broken legs, a stolen past, and whispers of betrayal that refused to leave her mind. Sandra welcomed her warmly, kissing her forehead like a mother. "This is your home now, Amara. No more cardboard under bridges. No more hunger. You are safe here." But in Amara's chest, fear whispered back. For how long? Meanwhile, across the city, Namdi stumbled through a crowded street in Oshodi. His shirt was torn, his eyes bloodshot from nights without sleep. The guilt of what he had done, and what he knew, was eating him alive. He finally pushed open the rusty door of a dingy beer parlor, where two men sat in the corner whispering. Jonathan and George, Amara's uncles. Their faces hardened when they saw him. "You fool," Jonathan hissed, slamming his glass on the table. "We told you to scare her, to keep her away from the streets, not to draw attention." Namdi's lips trembled. She nearly died. Her legs are gone. And the woman, Sandra, the billionaire, she knows her now. She has taken her in. If this comes out, George leaned in, his voice a sharp blade, then it must never come out. The words chilled Namdi to his bones. He knew then. These men would silence him if they could. The secret he carried, the truth that the accident was no accident, was a death sentence. Back at the mansion, Amara tried to adjust. A private nurse was assigned to her. A maid brought her meals on silver trays. She was given a spacious room with soft drapes and a bed that felt like clouds. Yet, when the house was quiet at night, She wheeled herself to the balcony and stared at the city lights in the distance. Her heart longed for something simpler. Her parents' laughter, her mother's song, her father's gentle hand on her head. Those memories made the mansion feel both beautiful and hollow. One evening, Sandra joined her on the balcony, baby Williams in her arms. "Why do you look so sad, my daughter?" Amara forced a smile. "I should be happy. You gave me more than I ever dreamed. But," her voice broke, "what if I don't deserve this? What if it's all taken away again?" Sandra placed Williams gently in her arms. The baby cooed and reached for her face. "Hold him," Sandra said softly. "See how he clings to you. This child doesn't know wealth or titles. He knows only love. And he loves you already." Tears slipped down Amara's cheeks as Williams squeezed her fingers. Sandra's voice grew firm. "Listen to me, Amara. You are not a guest here. You are family. And no one, not even your past, can take that away." Amara nodded, though, in her heart, doubt still lingered. That same night, Namdi made his choice. He could no longer live with the secret. He scribbled a letter, his handwriting jagged with fear. "Sandra Obinna. They planned it. Jonathan and George, they sent me to hurt her. Forgive me." He folded the paper and tucked it inside his jacket. Then he set out toward the Obinna mansion, but shadows followed him. Jonathan and George had sent men after him, and as Namdi hurried through the streets, he felt eyes burning into his back. He ran, clutching the letter to his chest, praying he could reach the mansion gates before the uncles reached him. Inside the mansion, Amara sat with Obinna in the living room. He studied her closely, his deep voice calm but steady. "Amara, I have resources. Investigators, lawyers. Tell me, do you believe your uncles planned your suffering?" Amara hesitated. The memory of the janitor's whispers echoed in her mind. Her lips parted, but before she could speak, the mansion's security radio crackled with urgency. "Sir, there's a man at the gate, injured. Says he must see Madame Sandra. Name's Namdi." Amara froze. Her heart slammed against her ribs. Obinna rose to his feet at once. "Bring him in." Moments later, Namdi staggered into the living room, blood on his forehead, his jacket torn. He fell to his knees before Sandra and Obinna, his voice trembling. Forgive me. It wasn't an accident. They sent me. Your uncles, Amara, Jonathan, and George, they ordered it. I was meant to break her, to erase her." The room went still. Sandra gasped, clutching baby Williams tighter. Obinna's jaw clenched like stone. Amara sat frozen in her wheelchair, her lips trembling, eyes wide with shock. "My uncles," she whispered. "Yes," Namdi cried, pulling the crumpled letter from his jacket with shaking hands. This is my confession. Please, before they kill me too." And just as Obinna reached for the paper, a gunshot cracked the night air. Namdi screamed and collapsed on the marble floor, blood spreading beneath him. Amara's scream tore through the mansion. Sandra held her baby close. Obinna threw himself forward, and the guards rushed in too late. The truth had arrived at their door, but so had danger. The gunshot echoed like thunder in the mansion, followed by the panicked cry of guards and the piercing wail of baby Williams. Namdi's body slumped on the polished marble, his blood pooling fast. Sandra screamed and shielded her baby, while Amara clutched the sides of her wheelchair, frozen in horror. Obinna barked orders like a commander. "Lock the gates. Search the compound. No one leaves." Guards rushed out, guns drawn, combing every corner of the estate. But the shooter had already vanished into the night. Obinna knelt by Namdi, his broad hands pressing against the wound. "Stay with me, man. Tell me more." Namdi coughed, blood staining his lips. He shoved the crumpled letter into Obinna's hand. His voice cracked, weak but urgent. "Her uncles, Jonathan and George, they will come for her again. Protect her." His last breath rattled, and his head fell to the side. Amara's heart broke. She had hated him for the accident, but seeing him die trying to confess crushed her. Tears poured down her face. Even he tried to make it right at the end. Sandra wrapped her arm around her. "Hush, my daughter. You are safe. We will fight this." But Amara shook her head. "No. As long as they live, I will never be safe." The next morning, the mansion was tense. News spread that armed men, likely sent by her uncles, had been sighted in Lagos. Obinna gathered his lawyers and security chiefs in the living room. "This ends now," he declared. "I won't let criminals destroy this girl's life again." Sandra agreed, but her heart trembled with fear. She knew the uncles would not give up easily. They had stolen Amara's inheritance, plotted to erase her, and now killed to cover their tracks. Amara, pale and tired, listened from her wheelchair. "Please," she whispered, "don't risk your lives for me." Obinna crouched before her, his deep eyes steady. "You risked yours for Sandra and my son. This family does not abandon its own. Do you hear me?" Amara's lips trembled. For the first time since the accident, she let herself believe his words. Later that day, Sandra visited Amara's room with baby Williams. She found the girl scribbling in the leather journal Obinna had given her. "What are you writing?" Sandra asked gently. Amara looked up, her eyes shining. "I'm writing that my pain will not define me, that even if my legs never work again, I will still rise. Mama always said kindness pays. Maybe this, maybe all of this, is how it pays." Sandra sat on the edge of her bed and hugged her tightly. "My daughter, kindness doesn't just pay, it transforms lives. You've transformed ours already." By nightfall, the police, led by Obinna's lawyers, moved in on Jonathan and George. Documents recovered from Nnamdi's body, and the confession letter proved the uncles had stolen Amara's home and assets. The men were dragged out of their lavish house, cursing and spitting, but powerless against the evidence stacked against them. When the news reached the mansion, Amara wept silently. So it was true. They wanted me gone. Obinna placed a firm hand on her shoulder. "Justice has found them. From today, you are free." The two wicked uncles were charged to court and sentenced to 15 years imprisonment. Weeks turned into months. Amara remained in the mansion, cared for by Sandra, loved by Obinna, adored by little Williams. She grew stronger, her spirit refusing to be crushed. Though confined to her wheelchair, she read every book Obinna gave her, asked endless questions about his oil business, and dreamed of one day making her own mark. On Williams's first birthday, the mansion buzzed with laughter. Guests clapped as the toddler waddled on unsteady feet. Amara sat nearby, clapping too, her eyes full of both joy and longing. Then something remarkable happened. Williams toddled toward her, giggling, and grabbed her hand. He tugged hard, wanting her to stand. "Not now, Williams," she whispered, smiling sadly, but the boy tugged again, insistent. Something inside Amara stirred. She pressed her hands on the wheelchair arms, her heart pounding. Slowly, trembling, she rose. Gasps filled the hall. Sandra's hands flew to her mouth, tears spilling. Obinna stepped forward, his eyes wide with disbelief. Amara took one shaky step, then another, holding tightly to Williams's little hand. Then, with a cry that shook the hall, she shouted, "I can walk! I can walk!" The room erupted in cheers. Sandra and Obinna rushed forward, embracing her as Williams laughed, clapping his tiny hands. It was as if his innocence had pulled her back to life. Years passed. Amara entered university on scholarship, studying reservoir engineering, a rare field for women. Her brilliance and resilience shone, and she graduated at the top of her class. She later joined Obinna's oil company, her knowledge and drive making her one of the youngest rising stars in the industry. It was there she met Jerry, during a workshop in Lagos. He admired not just her beauty, but her strength, her kindness, her fire. Their love blossomed quickly, and 2 months after he proposed, they stood before the altar. Sandra and Obinna walked her down the aisle, tears in their eyes. Baby Williams, now 7, proudly carried the ring as the flower boy. When Amara whispered her vows, she glanced at Sandra and Obinna. "I had nothing, but your kindness gave me everything. I am who I am, because of you." 9 months later, she held her own baby girl, Juliana, in her arms, singing the same song her mother once sang to her. "Kindness is a seed. Plant it, plant it, plant it." 11 years later, Williams graduated as the best software engineer in his university. Standing proudly, he said, "I dedicated my degree to my sister Amara, who showed me that strength is not in wealth, but in sacrifice. Amara sat in the front row, tears shining in her eyes, holding Juliana's hand. She had gone from a girl on a cardboard under a bridge to a woman whose story inspired the nation. Her legs still carried faint scars, but she stood tall, her past no longer chains but wings. Because kindness had paid, and in paying, it had transformed not just her life, but the lives of everyone around her. What is your view about this story? Where are you watching from? If you enjoyed this story, comment, share, and subscribe to our channel for more interesting stories.